Hello and welcome to Stretch Street Podcast. I'm so grateful that you've joined me here today. This is a space where we explore what it really means to grow, not just in our career or businesses, but as people, because sometimes the greatest stretch in life isn't learning how to build something, but it is learning not to lose yourself while building it. We often celebrate growth in numbers. More revenue, more clients, more opportunities, more success. But what happens when everything looks successful from the outside, yet something inside still feels unsettled? Today's conversation is for every entrepreneur, leader, and dreamer or high achiever who has ever asked themselves this question: is this what success is supposed to feel like? Because perhaps the next level isn't about doing more. Perhaps it's about becoming different. So today on the show, my guest is someone who understands growth from both sides of the equation. Todd A. Krause is the owner of the cleaning authority Fishers, where he helped grow the business from $1.8 million to over $4 million in annual revenue, while building an award-winning workplace culture and a high-performing team. He's also a CPA MBA entrepreneur and founder of Silversun Consulting, where he helps home service businesses owner scale their companies through stronger leadership, healthier systems, and thriving workplace cultures. But what caught my attention was not his business success, it was his honesty. Because behind the impressive growth was a personal realization that many leaders quietly experience, that growth in business doesn't automatically bring fulfillment. That is such a powerful standpoint. So I'm so excited about this conversation today as we talk to Todd to hear all about his journey and how he stretched through that season and what you and I can learn from his story. Hello, Todd. How are you doing today? Thank you so much for joining me on the show.
I'm doing fine. Thank you so much for having me on your show. What an honor.
Thank you so much. Okay, so we're going to dive right into the conversation, and I am going to begin that conversation, right? To say with something that you said, filling the form and getting to hear from you and hearing your story, you said something that really, stood out for me. You mentioned, so I'm going to start from there. You shared that as your business grew, right? So did the pressure. And I know that's like something that is familiar for people who are in business, right? So let me take you back to that season. I know we're diving right into it, but I'll come back to us getting to know you better. But I want to go from there, the pressure part, right? What was happening behind the scenes that people couldn't see when you said that, statement that as your business grow, the pressure also grows along with it?
Well, you're absolutely right that we measure things in numbers. And generally, the bigger the numbers, the more revenue, the more clients, the more staff, the more successful we must be.
Hmm.
But along with that, suddenly comes all the relationships with all of the customers and keeping all of the staff happy. And it's the number of possible interactions between the staff, positive, negative, or otherwise, suddenly starts to multiply every time you add someone to the staff. This person doesn't exactly get along with that person, though they don't want to work together as a team. This customer prefers a different team. All the decisions, all those little decisions that had to be made just balloon up into this huge mass of stuff that you're trying to juggle. Suddenly there's all these balls in the air. You reach a point where you just say, I don't have a life anymore. The business is sucking the life out of me.
I know, right? I can relate, but maybe not completely because I don't think I've built a business that has grown that large that could bring that amount of pressure, but I can relate in some shape, size, or form because I lead a team now, and so I can relate with you saying, oh my god, the bigger the team, the more the pressure really. But take us back to the beginning. At what point, when you decided that, so what was it that broke for you that made you say, you know what, this is not supposed to be like this? Like, this is not supposed to be how it's meant to be. What was it that shifted for you that made you make that decision that no, 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 something has to give here?
Well, we realized very early on after purchasing the cleaning authority that I just needed help. I was at a point in my life where I had medical issues. I had gone through years of trying to do it all myself, keep my arms around the whole business, make every decision, think strategically about where do we need to be next, what happens when the lease comes up for renewal, do we stay, do we move, how do we grow the business, how do we get more customers, how do we keep them happy. The questions and stuff were endless. So way back in April of 22, no, I'm sorry, it was 21 actually. Wow, time passes fast. I sat down with a couple of managers I had and I said, I need you to help. And I need you to care about the business and I need you to run it the way an owner would run it. And then I laid out the plan to reward them for doing that. And I said I would create a path to ownership so that they could become owners in the business as a thank you for doing that. At that time, I told them what my personal challenges were and explained my situation. So we started down this path of transforming them from managers into leaders. And it was a growth process, but it was amazing to watch it actually happen.
I
It was
love that. I love that. And I think I'm going to go deeper in that. But before we go deeper into that, like going into, let's just go there anyways, is to separate what's the difference then between a manager and a leader?
Managers are people who tell others what to do, how to do it, when to do it, review everything, send it back to them when it isn't right. Leaders are people who show the team what the goal is and let them figure out how to get to the goal. Leaders remove obstacles. Leaders enable and empower the people. And they provide alignment where everybody's rowing the boat in the same direction. And they provide development too. And development is not sitting in the conference room watching videos for 2 days. Development is everything from those conversations you have in the hallway or by the coffee machine where you explain what your thought process was when you made a decision and why you made it. What the options were and the pros and cons of the option. Well, we could have done A, and these are the results we think we would get, or we could do B. But here's the downside of each of those. We had to choose something. Now people start to grow. They start to see how decisions are made. They learn to make decisions themselves.
I love it. I love it. Like I can I can still see me, and as you were speaking, I can see myself in that, and I just love, love, love it. I love, love, love it. Okay, so you said something again. I'm going to be using a lot of what you said in having this conversation. You said something. You said control is often the very thing holding leaders back or managers back, right? So, why do you think so many entrepreneurs struggle to let go? And what was the hardest thing for you to release as a person?
Okay. Well, there's a number of reasons why we as leaders struggle with letting go. One is it's just if we worked our way up from employee to manager, we were taught this command and control structure. That's ingrained in our thinking and our behavior. Letting go doesn't come natural to that type of thought pattern. Other things that reinforce it when it's our business is our name is on the door, we created it, we invested the money to open the business and get it started. We feel responsible for all of the services and goods that it delivers. So we tend to hang on to everything. But the biggest hurdle in letting go is trust. It's just that simple.
Right.
When we listen to other business owners talk, we can hear it in the words that they use. Well, where are all the good employees? Why does nobody want to work today? Embedded in language like that is this notion that, well, there's this small group of good employees that want to do a good job, and then there's everybody else. And they will also talk in terms of, well, you can't trust them. You always have to check on them. As if there's some sort of misbehaving toddler that needs constant monitoring with everything that they do. They end up creating an environment where people live down to their expectations. People perform at a level of compliance. They do what's necessary to keep their job and get a paycheck on Friday, rather than at an elevated level of commitment where they bring their heart to work and they do the best job that they possibly can do.
I love it. And it's interesting that you talk about trust because my next question was going to be about that. And so the thing is, trust is one of those things like you just mentioned now, but living it, like actually trusting people, your staff member, your partners, your associate is something totally different. Now, how did learning to trust your team change not only your business, but you as a leader?
It was liberating. I could take things from my desk and give them to other people and know that they were being done, these tasks were being completed. What I found out was oftentimes these people had better ideas than I did. They had better solutions to problems than I ever could have thought of. What an amazing relief it is to not have to do everything and to not have to check every document, go and look and inspect every job that we do.
Like, I'm curious though, like, how did you get to that point? Because most times is the fact the lack of trust thing is sometimes what's the word now is sometimes valid, right? Because you probably have handed them tasks and they didn't do it well or they didn't complete it well to the taste of what you wanted. So how were you able to navigate that part? What did you do differently? Did you maybe train them or something? Or how did you get to the point where you could literally, like, you know what? I trust you to handle this job and I'm letting go for you to get to that point where you're now liberated?
Well, I realized early on that we weren't going to grow if I didn't get some help from other people and if I didn't get more help from them. I can't grow a business if I can't give my people the things that are on my desk. I also knew my personality was I get bored quickly with repetitive tasks and I start making mistakes. So one way to avoid that is to hand off those tasks to people who actually don't mind doing that. Some people don't not mind repetitive tasks. And for me, that was a great help. because it fit well with my personality. And it also helped us grow because now there was room on my desk to take on other projects, to think about strategy. What do we need to do in the coming months if we want to keep growing? Is our marketing working? If not, why not? And what do we do about it? Are our operations and the delivery cycle, are we delivering consistent high quality? And if we're not, what are we going to do about that? So for me, those became projects that I could work on while the people around me took care of the repetitive day-to-day tasks, and we grew. As I
Okay.
elevated my managers, I lifted them up out of the repetitive part and put them in charge of figuring out how do we make sure that we deliver consistent quality. So I kept bumping myself up, but at the same time bringing up my managers behind me.
That's interesting, right? But I'll sit in here for a little while longer. Let's look at it from the angle of a new business, a startup, or a fresh entrepreneur who is still in the process of building, right? And in the process of building, there's a lot to learn. There's a lot of moving parts where, okay, we're putting together the systems, the structures that would ensure that this business grows. And so, in that way, it's still a season or a period where the culture of this company is being built. So, if you were going to speak to that type of manager or entrepreneur, how do they get to a point, or is there a point you get to for you to be able to really let go and let your team members take over? Or is this a thing that can be established from the word go to say, this is what we're doing from the word go? I hope you understand the question.
Well, it's much easier today to establish it from the beginning than it was just a handful of years ago. We can outsource so many of these tasks to people who specialize in creative things such as web site development, setting up your CRM, helping support your technology. We can outsource even a lot of our work to fractional workers, both here in the United States or in other countries. You can hire somebody for just a few hours a week, and then they can grow with you as you grow. It's really quite amazing what's available today that wasn't just a handful of years ago. So I would urge everybody to outsource things that they aren't experts in. Get help. There's just too much to know. You cannot possibly know everything. So anything that you're not an expert in, get help in. Outsource it where you can.
I like that. I like that. And then with the invention and the takeover of AI, that could also help as well, like in doing the different tasks that you repeatedly do. You can, leverage AI to also help in creating some of that, to create more space for you to think strategically as a leader. I love that. I wonder though if sometimes we confuse being needed with being effective, especially as leaders. What would you have to say about that
Being needed
and being effective?
and being effective. There's leaders, we as leaders are definitely needed. What we want to be careful of is that we are not sucked back into the day to day that is the responsibility of the people we hire. Helping them solve a problem, helping them figure out what to do next is part of leadership and part of development. Being pulled into their work throughout the day, throughout the week. Now we're being sucked back into being doers, being managers ourselves. We should focus on the developing them so that they don't have to come to us over and over again with the same question.
I hear you on that one. I hear you on that one. Now, you mentioned also that the biggest change wasn't in your business, it was in how you were showing up, right? Who did Todd have to become for the business to reach the next chapter?
I had to become somebody who was trusting. I had to become a person who could stop and see the other people for who they were as a whole person. That was a definite shift because I came from environments where the expectation was you leave your personal life at the door when you walk into work. But that's just not what really happens. When we hire people, we hire the entire person. They're a package. They come with family, they come with parents, they come with children. Their cars sometimes break down, their children get sick, something happens in the family. When we create space for them to solve their problems, what we get in return is a level of commitment and dedication to us and our business that is takes the business to a whole new level that beats the competition. Because so many of our competitors expect their staff to simply be robotic type workers.
That is so beautiful. That is so beautiful. Now, were there beliefs or habits, that served you early on in your journey as a leader and as this transitioning manager into proper leader, but later on became an obstacle? Beliefs or habits that were useful at the beginning, but later on become obstacles. Could you think of any?
Oh, yes, I've always had this need to check and double check things. It- and it's just my personality. It took me a long time to really, really step back and truly let go, to stop worrying about everything and questioning everything. I think built into that was a certain level of anxiety that I wrestle with on a daily basis.
I can imagine that, and I can I can imagine that. And it's a bit more difficult when it is your personality because it's like, oh my god, this is me. I do it automatically, but now you have to consciously wean yourself off it. Say, no, no, we're not doing that today until it becomes, something new that you're doing. Now, one thing I really appreciate about you is that you separate success from fulfillment. So being a successful business, having a successful business that is raking in the money does not equal fulfillment. So how would you then define the difference between success and fulfillment?
There's success the way the world defines it. They're going to look at your address, your house, your cars, your clothes, how big the business is, how much revenue, how many employees, how many global locations. But success, or what we might say fulfillment on a personal level, is something very different. Are we finding satisfaction, enjoyment, and meaning in what we do? I have worked jobs where, by the world standards, we produced a lot of success, but I felt empty and just nothing inside. There wasn't joy or meaning in that for me. And when those jobs ended, I didn't miss them. I got to the cleaning company. It filled a need in my life at the time, but then I discovered something else. by changing the culture inside the company, changing how we talked to the employees. Because it was toxic when I took over. Every morning, the managers would lecture the staff about what they did wrong the day before. And you better not repeat that. And get out there and do it right today. The message was, you're an idiot. What's wrong with you? Can't you do a decent job? And I just said, stop, don't do that. Tell them what we need from them. Tell them what the customer asks for. And then reward them for it. It transformed in weeks. It couldn't have been more than 6 weeks, and the whole culture was completely different. The cleaners were coming in the morning laughing and smiling and talking to each other, getting their equipment. They'd go out and do their work. Customers started noticing and thanking us for sending them a happy team. Our
Oh,
positive Google reviews shot up from under 200 to over 1,200. And then I realized we could make a life-changing impact on these people. The other thing that happened is suddenly people started coming to us and saying, I want to apply. Where other businesses were complaining about, where are all the workers today? Why can't I find any good workers? And I stop and think, but we have a wait list of people who are asking to work there.
wow.
And it made a difference in people's lives. It found meaning.
That is so beautiful. That is so lovely to know. Like, wow, I love it. I love it. Like a happy environment, a happy team delivers a happy work. And I love how it trickled down from the within the team, people being happy and doing their job and finding meaning and fulfillment in it actually trickled down to what the clients are experiencing. And it's just beautiful. Just that shift in culture. Wow. I love it, love it, love it. You also shared this beautiful thought, and I want to talk about it. You said clarity comes from action, but alignment comes from awareness, right? I would love for you to unpack that because I think many people are taking action without ever checking whether they are aligned. So when you say clarity comes from action, yes, I think I get that, but alignment comes from awareness. Please unpack that. Oh, your mic is muted.
Apologies, I think I bumped a button. Uh, it's our job as leaders to show the team what the goals are. That's the alignment thing. People, as well intentioned as they can be, will head off in different directions without some sort of guidance. It's back to the expression of we want everyone to row the boat in the same direction. We create the alignment so that when they take action, now they know that it's the action that's needed by the business. That gives them the clarity. So it's from us to the staff. In the case of the cleaning business, it was pulling them aside and showing them what a good quality clean is. This is how we are going to do it for our customers. This is our brand. Yeah, we had retraining sessions, but we never called them that. We called them how to earn more sessions because we bonused them when the customers complimented our work. When the customer said, what a great job, money on their paycheck next Friday. If the customer left a positive Google review, more money on their paycheck next Friday. So while we were trying to align what they were doing with the brand that we were selling to the customers, instead of dragging them off to the side to watch videos, we were actually showing them how to earn more on their paycheck.
I like that one. The reward system. Love it. You do it well. And I like how you define alignment, being that the alignment comes from the leadership. So you align the brand with the actions that aligns with the kind of result we want to get. So everyone understands that and acts based on that. And I think I really love that. Right. So
It's,
yeah,
it's
go
as
ahead.
simple as telling them what a well done job looks like. Otherwise, you will get everybody's individual version of what a well done job is.
I see. So define the result for them. And then
Yes,
however they need to get to that result, you give them the liberty to use their styles to get there. But the point is we have a result that we want to get to. Correct?
correct. That is right.
I love it. Now your consulting work helps business owners build companies that don't depend entirely on them. Why do you think so many founders unintentionally become the bottleneck themselves?
It, they're not letting go of the day to day things that the business does. They're not letting go of decisions. Here's the importance of the letting go part. Can the business operate for a period of time without the founder being there? If the founder were to take an extended vacation, would the business continue to run or would it be on pause until the founder comes back? If it continues to run and it does what it's intended to do, you have a business. If it stops or is on pause, you created a job for yourself. The benefit of creating a business is you have an asset. That asset can be sold at any time in the future. It's part of your personal portfolio. You're creating wealth at the same time that you are earning income for yourself. That's a wonderful thing. And most of us go into business with this idea that I should have more time, I should have more income, and most of us want to create something. And we often call that a legacy. But if we are the business, we're not doing those things.
Right. If you are the business, you are not doing those things. You're not building legacy. I love it. All right. So if someone listening or watching this, right, feels trapped inside the business, just something you just mentioned right now, they once dreamed of. So they are trapped inside because I know I've heard it before, working in the business and working on the business, right? So if someone is listening right now and they are trapped inside their business, where should they begin? Now, where should they begin really?
If you have staff, identify a couple of people who have the right desire and are interest in doing more. You can elevate them into management positions. Then, as a leader, we can give those people tasks that are on our desk. Routine. Think routine, repetitive. Those are the first tasks to hand off. They're also the easiest tasks to explain to somebody. As the people around us successfully take care of the routine task, we can then hand them the next layer of more complex tasks and keep lifting them up further and further away from just being a doer, doing a routine task, to somebody who makes some decisions and helps
Mm,
figure out solutions. But every time we hand something off, we're clearing space on our desk and we are lifting ourselves at one task at a time out of the business to a position where we are working on the business.
I like that. Thank you so much, Todd. Right. So every guest leaves our audience with one stretch, right? So here's today's stretch question. If someone has been meaning or measuring their worth by how busy they are, what would you gently invite them to rethink?
Well, that therein lies the trap of today. And the world runs around valuing itself, going, "Oh, I'm so busy, but I'm bump." But are you working on the right things? Are you on this treadmill just going around and around and around and around in the same place? You're busy, or are you actually working on things that will grow the business, things that will change your market, your life? It's about working on the right things.
Not just about being busy.
No,
It's
very
about being productive and moving the bottom line up and shifting the needle. I love it. Okay, so this part of the show, we're going to have a rapid reflection. I am going to start a sentence and you're going to complete it. So, are you
okay.
ready?
Yes,
Okay, so complete the sentence. Leadership is,
developing people,
success is,
finding satisfaction, enjoyment, and meaning in what you do.
freedom feels like.
Oh my God, amazing.
One habit every entrepreneur should develop is,
Spending time reflecting on what you are doing and how you are developing the people around you.
the best investment I've ever made.
Was in myself, getting help, getting advice.
I love that one. One lesson I wish I had learned sooner is,
Don't worry so much. Mistakes happen. And in a couple of days, today's mistake is probably not going to matter.
love it. And lastly, the next stretch in my own life is,
To continue building my consulting practice so I can pass on what I learned to other people.
oh, love it. Love it so much. Todd, this conversation reminds me that scaling isn't only about growing a business, it's about growing the people, leading it sometimes, and leading it, right? And sometimes the systems need work, right? And sometimes strategy needs work, but often it's the leader who needs space to evolve. Thank you so much for reminding us that success doesn't have to cost us our peace, that we can build businesses that serve our lives instead of lives that only serve our business. So, thank you so much for your time, for your wisdom, and just for sharing beautifully today.
Thank you for having me on your show. It's been such an honor.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much. All right, guys, I really do hope that you've had a fantastic time on the show today. I hope you've learned a thing or two from our conversation with Todd today. And I'm going to leave you with this, right? As we leave this episode today, right? I'd love to leave you with this week question, which is, where in your life are you holding on so tightly that you are actually preventing your own growth? Think about it. And I want you to not just think about this in business alone, even in life, in relationship, in your own career, in your friendship, in everything you do. What are you holding on so tightly to that is preventing you from growing? Think about that. and see what you can do about it. I think some of the things that Todd shared with us today are things that you can apply across board. So think about that question today. So yeah, maybe leadership is not about doing everything, as we have heard today, but maybe it's about creating space for others, your team members, your subordinates to thrive, right? So if today's conversation has blessed you, if it has sparked something in you, if it has inspired you, if it has motivated you, if it has shifted your thinking when it comes to leadership, management, and business, then please do share this with somebody. Share this with somebody you know who is a leader. Share this with somebody who you know is probably starting a business or thinking about it or has started, and somehow their results are not hitting or the team is not together. Share this episode with them. I believe it will really, really help them, because for me, it has shifted something in my brain, even as a manager myself, to say, okay, I know what and what not to do now. And I'm going to try to practice that to make my team the best team ever so that we can get the result for the business that we're trying to build. All right. So thank you so much for being a part of the conversation today. Till I come your way again with another conversation. Remember that we're stretching through all of these experiences, but remember to stretch gently and stretch at your own pace. All right. I'll talk to you next week. Bye bye.